love working with Michele?
I feel buoyant and alive, Michele. That's amazing. I don't feel as though I've got to get...
This is Michele Ho Lung, and I'm the host of the Sparkle Experience Show. And tonight we are going to talk about a very serious topic, and it's depression. Now, I'm going to bring up with me a special guest, D.K. Warinner. He is the founder of the Center of Calm, and we're going to just have a nice conversation here tonight about depression, right, D.K.?
Absolutely. I was feeling kind of depressed earlier, but I'm feeling better now.
Are you now?
Yeah. I'm feeling a bit more sparkly now. Good evening.
Yeah, so the reason we wanted to talk about depression is because something that there's a lot of people who feel bad about admitting they're depressed. And I think what I was saying to DK before this is that we all have different days where we are depressed, but we're not admitting we're depressed, maybe. And there shouldn't be a stigma, because the only way to help depression that I've found is you have to first acknowledge that you are depressed so you can get help. And, it's like anything. If I have a cold, you have to admit you have a cold so you can go and get the medicine and get the healing you need, or get the support if you need people to go out and get stuff for you, right, DK?
Totally. I actually feel quite depressed when on a rare occasion when I have a cold, for sure. So I totally get what you're talking about.
Well, what are the symptoms of depression anyway? They say if you have the MDD, the depressive state, you have to have 5 symptoms of depression to define that you are depressed. And what that is meaning is there's some stage of you having difficulty sleeping, maybe. I have some of that sometimes. Either you sleep too much or you sleep too little, and then you wake up feeling drained still, even though you're supposed to have had X number of hours sleep. You may feel that you have no appetite or too much. You're just binge because, it's just something to do. You may feel that, you have difficulty getting out of bed. Sometimes I have that too, right? You don't really want to get out of bed. But the thing with depression is, to be in a really depressive state, you don't want to get out of bed because you're just not in the mood. There's that mood element of it. Whereas sometimes you just don't want to get out of bed because you feel lazy. That's typical, right? That's just you're lazy. But when it's a mood and you just can't get yourself moving because there's this feeling inside of you, that's the depressive state. And difficulty concentrating or making decisions just because, again, of that, whatever it is, hopelessness, sadness. And there's other things, lack of interest in things that you used to love to do. And all of a sudden it's just, don't want to do it. No, don't want to do it. Just disinterest or uninterested feeling of being involved with anything where you used to love it. Then that's kind of a very clear sign. Inability to complete usual tasks or activities, feelings of irritability, frustration, or grief or guilt, that kind of thing. What do you see?
I would say that I just want to be careful that being too fascinated or interested in depression, I just want to make sure that's not going to make me depressed. What I think I'm all right?
Yeah, that's right. Because,
Okay.
it's a topic that a lot of people shy away from because there's that thing, don't want to, there's that feeling that it's something bad, but it's something, life happens, and sometimes life happens and we're human, and some of us can handle upset more than others, and then maybe it's a whole bunch of stuff together and it adds up, and then all of a sudden you spiral down, and then you're in this state where everything feels like it's too much. And then the worst part is it can lead somewhere else where we don't really want to go, right?
Totally. Yeah. And really, to me, the reason for being here is just that, both of us have found solutions where we can quickly reverse, that kind of deep, dark feeling that can come with, the symptoms of depression and actually, physically being depressed, if you will, on a visceral level, and simply reverse it quickly, right?
Right. So DK, can you just share with us with us a little what it is that you do at the Center of Calm?
Well, actually, the Center of Calmness was I founded that as a result of probably what you would call depression. Although I struggle with a panic level of anxiety from when I was just 2 years old all the way through into my 40s, and so that was I labeled my experiences more from the anxiety, from a fear of the future perspective. And a lot of folks speak of depression as sort of like a regret of the past motivated scenario, but to me they're both the same, right? They pull the person out of joy and into some kind of fear mode, right? That tends to spiral upon itself, and that's what causes the amplification, and that's what causes it to be progressively more and more difficult to move forward in life, right? And that's what we tend to call depression, that leads to the insomnia, or in my case it's maybe hypersomnia, wanting to sleep 10 12 hours a day and waking up still not feeling refreshed, still feeling like having a heavy load. And I just, as you mentioned depression, and as we talk about those symptoms, I just think back to a time that actually became the founding moment of my own program, right? The Center of Calmness, the program I call Calm Within, right? Where I teach folks that have inner turmoil, that may have symptoms of depression or high anxiety or panic or a sense of overwhelm, especially in multiple very high stressful situations, say difficulty at home as well as difficulty in a professional environment together, right? And I teach folks to take that turmoil and not so much set it aside, but just to release it, right? Just to take the power back over their body and their mind, so that they can produce, if you will, produce a sense and feeling of calm.
So, in
And
other words, to catch it before it gets so bad that it becomes a chronic state.
totally, yeah,
Because
totally, yeah.
the five thing that they say major, the MDD stands for major depressive disorder. So the definition of that is if you have, remember I listed off a whole bunch of stuff. So if you have five of those symptoms, any which one of them for days and at least 2 weeks straight, kind of, like a period of where you have maybe a bunch of days but it's over 2 weeks. And so I guess the question is, out there, are you depressed? Do you have a tinge or a twinge, a twinge of depression where, you may need to have a friend who can support you in getting you out of it before you get into it too much, if that makes sense.
And I would offer too this tip for folks out there. If a friend is coming up to you with a really serious look of concern on their face, saying, "Is everything all right?" That's probably that's not a sign for you to fight back at them. It's more a sign of maybe there's something that you may not personally be aware of, at least in your conscious mind, that that you might actually be affected by this depressive situation. And that's the time to look for solutions, right? Calmness is one of those where we can get to this, when it's still a minor situation, before it gets major. And even when it's major, a person must have some tools to address it. Just in my mind, although there's plenty of medical solutions available, I prefer personal power approaches and really if you will, regulating one's own self, first and foremost, before having to resort to actually being. And not to say that we're recommending not going under a doctor's care. This is, we're not substituting the advice. If you feel you got to visit the doctor, absolutely do so.
Well, the thing
But
they say is,
there's so much we can do, right?
yeah, the thing they
Before
say
that
is
happens.
that a lot of the population, like they were saying, one of the stats is that there's like 19 million teens and adults with depression in the USA. And then they say that the thing about it is that sometimes people don't realize they're depressed, or they are there's an underdiagnosis of depression, especially in seniors, because there's so many other things that kind of have that depressed state in it that it gets misdiagnosed and not diagnosed as depression. And what I guess the question is now, why would you care? And what research it says that if you choose a wrong thing, whether it's you think you're bipolar or it's a personality disorder or anxiety, if you go into those things and you misdiagnose it, then you get the wrong treatment. And then the wrong treatment, some of it could be harmful depending on whether, if you're on, if it involves drugs or other things. So that it gets to be a very complicated things. Now, the reason why I wanted to spotlight this on the Sparkle Experience show is because more and more people, I think, especially today in the US, this rate is going up. They said it's increased over the last couple of years. And there's 1 in 14, I think it was, that the WHO World Health Organization says, in the States has depression. It's something that many years ago, probably 20 years ago now, I helped somebody with Sparkle in the Bay department store. And she was so impressed that a year later, she came back at me and she said, Michele, I have a friend. She's on $100 for a pill. And she has had chronic depression for a long time. And these pills don't work anymore. And she is beside herself. She can't function and she doesn't know what to do because these pills are no longer effective. Could she come to you for a Sparkle session? And so I agreed, and she came in, and after an hour working on her, there's these tears. She's lying down and there's these tears, and the way I work, right? So I didn't hit her and I didn't slap her or anything, but so I said, are you okay? Are you okay? And she says, no, these are tears of joy. I never thought ever in my life again I would feel the way I feel right now. And with that said, she paid me, and I have not seen or heard from her since. She left with a smile on her face, and so it's energy work, it's quantum, but it can help with mental issues, and I can't guarantee results or anything. But we'll be doing a Sparkle session segment of the show towards the end of tonight too. So if you can tune into this on the replay and see if it helps, because Sparkle is timeless and it goes through time and space, right? And I worked on someone else, and this person had chronic depression for years, and I met him at a family gathering, and I said, well, I can work on you and we can see if we can help, right? But he was not open to that. And then a couple months later, he actually phoned from Jamaica and said, I think I'd like to try that. So we got on a phone call and I worked on him. And an hour later, he was going, I don't know how I'm feeling this way. If you had told me before that it was possible to feel this way after a call on the phone with you, I would have told you it was impossible. So there's no necessity to tell stories. There's nothing for whoever it is to do. It's just tune in, allow, release, breathe, and see what can happen with the energy, right? That we share. So that's kind of just, one of the things. And then there's a cognitive things we can do, which DK, you were speaking about, which is how do you keep yourself from going down that road? First thing,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
So it's the same thing for all mental health things. It is get proper exercise, like start exercising. When you exercise, it brings your energy up, right? Gets your blood going. And then eat properly, sleep properly if you can, relax, do things that you enjoy doing, so it brings a smile to your face, and be thankful for what you have. Celebrate the things that are going on well in your life, and think positively. Catch yourself when you're not thinking, everything, you're thinking things are bad. Just try and get yourself up. Talk to a friend, get a support net in place. Just friends. That's what friends are for, right? And
Absolutely.
and try, just be kind to yourself.
Yeah. And actually the calmness approach that I teach really speaks most powerfully to the person who's perhaps has a habit of not being so kind to themselves. And if you think about, you know, how that might manifest, right? Anxieties and I think also depressions would tend to come from a person sort of, you know, beating up on themselves frequently, or taking self-criticism, which can be so much harsher than outside criticism, for example, and having a generally negative outlook on life and on the future, right? That you know, that can start the negative spiral and really start you know, a trend away from your proper self-care, as you're mentioning, Michelle, right?
Mhm.
And the calmness methods work toward that element of, as you mentioned, Michelle, relaxation, right? And just allowing some of this pressure that we put on ourselves to be released, right, through some a little bit deeper techniques. Although the list that you mentioned, Michelle, is super huge, and really a person that's already doing that is probably fine, right? It's when there's an accumulation of, if you will, toxic stress, that you know, that's something a little bit more serious, you know, might be required. Calm Within actually goes and eliminates that toxic stress, and then of course the sparkle aspect that I look forward to you sharing more about is where we go even deeper with that, right? And affect some of the underlying causes, and really access a much higher level of energy than we can with our own mind, perhaps.
Mhm. So what does you said you felt you were a bit depressed earlier on in your 40s. So what does that feel like?
Well, I'll just mention a time, and I actually had a couple of major life change events that occurred for me, say the beginning to the middle of last year, and I remember feelings where I was feeling so uncertain about the future and feeling so negative about recent events that I felt had occurred in my life, that I mean, I could wake up in a nearly fetal position and just feel such a regret for having left the sleep and dream state, right, which still felt good to me, and then, you know, just feeling the weight of, okay, having to get up, having to choose some activities that hopefully would get me a step or two forward out of my situation, which I was experiencing at the time, and just that feeling of hopelessness
Hmm.
that was pervasive. And I felt that I was not to the clinically depressed point, although I never went for a diagnosis myself, so I can't say for sure. But based on the list that you mentioned, Michelle, I was definitely feeling a lot of those symptoms. You know, definitely hyper sleeping, not feeling rested, difficulty making decisions, not no sense of gratitude, very limited sense of joy, and a lot of fear, right?
Well,
And
they
a lot
also
of
said in there is that it's like part of it too is feeling empty
Mhm.
inside, like there's no purpose or you're a burden to other people, that there's you're no use to anybody or yourself, and there's no point for you to be there. And then that, if that isn't stopped, that will lead to that odd S word we don't like, which is the suicide, right? The feeling that heads down, there's no reason for you to be there because nobody cares, or you just don't feel like you want to be involved anymore. And it's not a the danger in that is when, from what I understand, when you're truly depressed, your brain is, you're not thinking right. It's a distorted sense of reasoning, even where it's, the logic isn't necessarily there, and you tend to just pick out the bad things and the negative, most negative part of what the situation is. Where a normal person, if you made a mistake, you say, oh, it's just a mistake and I'm sorry, I won't do it again, and I'll just keep track. The depressive person would go, I made a mistake, I'm so bad, I'm useless, I can't get anything right. Oh my God, I'm so bad. I better stop because I'll get somebody hurt. And it's really just blowing things out of proportion, maybe, right? And feeling worthless. And that's the other point, feeling worthless, worthlessness and hopelessness. And that feeling of there's nothing I can see in the horizon where it's going to get better, and I suck.
that's the self-criticism personified, right? Where
Right.
that self-critic, which we all have a self-critic, but that self-critic is now a giant, right? That's
Yeah.
that person's like 8 or 9 feet tall, looking down at the little inner
Right.
child, going,
Right.
you're, so on and so forth, of such negative messaging. And then the body responds to that emotionally and eventually chemically.
Well, the sad part is that they say that in 18, adolescents, 18 to 25, and you can see it a lot of times, you hear about, and I wonder how many of the suicides are actually a result of depression, feeling not good. Like I know there's stories, there's kids who do it, children who do it when they feel their parents, they're not good enough, or they're misunderstood and they think something's wrong with them, and then they go and, I know of a 12-year-old who took his own life because this ties in with it's a bank story on personality, where the parents were the huggy type, the nurturing type, and the son was 12-year-old was all about tech and being on his games, and so he'd be happiest when he was in his room doing that, and the parents made him so wrong about not socializing with the family that the little boy committed suicide. Now, is that depression, or is that, it's hard to say, but I would say he was depressed in a sense because he didn't feel like he could go anywhere to anybody, and he may not have felt worthy because he was feeling that he wasn't like everyone else. So misunderstood. But that thing about not being able to open up. And so, if somebody's really depressed, sometimes they don't want to open up. So how do you go about that?
That's a great question, Michelle, and it's the kind of what's going to open the door, for that person, and that's what I mentioned at the beginning of our experience today, which is just to encourage folks to pay attention to those cues, right? That's what I noticed when I was going through my situation last year, was that as I kind of went through a bit of a down spiral, I would get a different set of cues from the folks around me, and the types of questions they would ask me were different, and they weren't just, hey, what are you going to do next? What's your next career move? It was sort of like, is everything all right? Are you taking care of yourself? Are you exercising? Are you getting enough sleep? Have you eaten? Right? And to me, when you start hearing those questions, that's a cue, right? To pay attention to, okay, what, and then begin to tune in, what's my real situation. And then that's where solutions that, for example, what we're offering here, can come in handy as a way to kind of immediately get some benefit.
Mm-hmm.
And then of course, when treatment's needed, absolutely recommend seeking that as well.
But the thing about it is, I think it is to really let people, if it's in someone else that a coworker or a friend or somebody you really love, and you notice a withdrawal or a change, one of any of those changes that I mentioned at the beginning, is to really say, is everything okay? Just like you said, your friends did or colleagues did, is everything, are you okay? Like, I'm here for you. I'm here for you. Any time of day, I'm here for you. I don't care what time of night it is, I'm here for you. Like, I have your back. Like, I know something's going on and maybe you don't want to talk, but when you're ready, I'm here. When you're ready, I'm here. I'm always here. I don't care what time, and I tell my clients that all the time. I don't know if I told you that. I said, anytime you need me, if you really need me, the phone is right by my bed. I shouldn't say that, should I?
Well, I tell you what, although of course, most of us are respectful enough not to call you at all hours of the day or night.
Yeah, but if you do need me, my phone is by my bed. And I actually had one of my clients who was suicidal, right? And the thing is always there. If you need me, call me. Don't text, phone me. And that's the thing, same thing I tell my families and my relatives. I said, if you need me, phone me, because I'm there for you. Because I also keep very weird hours, So, but for those of you who may be wondering in the audience, am I depressed? I'm going through a rough time and I don't feel like doing anything. Could be you're depressed. Could be you think you're sad, but maybe it is you're depressed. Could be you're feeling bad, but maybe you're just depressed. You just had a whole bunch of things happening to you and you feel like you're not good for anything. You're not getting your work done. You can't think straight, and you think it's because you're just tired. But what about if the word is depressed and you just need to get some help? Because the help out there is is a therapy. The help out there is there's medical too, because they do administer drugs for this too if it's serious enough. And if you are having a really rough time for a while, maybe you need to get some help, or even just to get it assessed to see if you are really depressed, or if there's something else going on. Because mental health affects not just yourself, it affects your family, it affects your work, it affects the community too, right? And it's everybody's
So
there, you know?
yeah. So Michelle, if somebody's kind of getting a clue that maybe there's something to be looked at, what would you recommend they actually do? You know, kind of once they've awakened a little bit to, okay, I might be a little off balance here. I might be in that depressive state to some extent. What's a step they can take?
Well, I think it's to reach out to someone who knows them and say, have you noticed? Am I being rational? Do you know, do you think I need help? I don't think it's that serious, but I'm not feeling good. And is there, I mean, it's not an easy question at all. It's first off, it's a hard thing to admit that you need help, like it is for me, you know. Or you can contact me or DK, right? They could contact you if they're not sure.
Completely.
For
Yep.
me, it's a matter of sparkle. And as I said, sometimes for me, the way we know something was going on is if I work and it happens, we actually happen to resonate. When we're finished working or finish the session, it's like night and day. You're going, wow, I can't believe how different I feel, you know? And it's
Right.
just that clarity, and all of a sudden the energy is there, and the lightness and the heaviness just leaves. Because depression is where you're also feeling very weighed down. It's like your body is so heavy, it feels like you can't get up to move. You're on the couch, you don't want to get up. You're just going, too much energy. I don't want to move. Like I really don't. I don't even want to do what I want to get up to. Thinking of getting up to do, because I just have no interest in doing anything. I just want to just be. Leave me. Stop telling me to go out. Stop telling me to go do what I like. I don't want to. Period. And that could be where it's really bad already.
And that's the danger, right? Is that once you've reached that state where depression is taking hold, there's not an internal circuit in the body mind that's saying go get help, right?
Right.
It's instead it's saying get away from me,
Yeah.
right? So it's repelling the support that's actually coming to you as the other part of us that looks after our well-being and our continued progress in life,
Yeah.
right?
But if
I would call it the divine element is actually pressing to get you back into on track, right? And but your mind body is saying get away from me, right? So it's a sense of conflict.
so
But
if
that's where the beauty of Sparkle and also to some extent calmness can really support, right? Their techniques that re-energize the system and give you that extra shot, right? So that you can make a clearer decision, get back into more of a logic state instead of looking through a very 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 dark lens, in some cases, right? Which can be depression.
Yeah, because I was saying that you have tools that you also, if you notice you have some of it, then before you get there, reach out to you. They could reach out to you. They can get the tools, your set of tools and your processes too that you go through with them. You know,
Absolutely.
and the other thing that I talk about a lot here and on LinkedIn and social media, etc., is to be CEO of you is to be able to control how you are reacting, how you manage your thoughts, how you react to things going on, and how you get in tune with yourself. So before you start going down this thing so low that you can't get out of it, you're already aware and you can, surface before it gets too deep.
Definitely. I wonder if you could maybe offer a quick overview of what it's like to be a CEO of yourself. I mean, to me, the CEO is somebody that I report to almost. It could, at least from my corporate background anyway. How does one be a CEO of themselves?
Okay, so the way I look at it is if you're the CEO of yourself, you're able to manage the different aspects of your business as a CEO of a business. In see of yourself, you have your life, and people tend to compartmentalize and leave their work at work and home at home, and then it's just separate. But for me, when I say see of yourself, you are CEO of you and your life. So every part of that, your community, your family, your relationships with other people, your work, your health, your finances, all that you are managing as
Oh, okay.
CEO of yourself. But
Okay.
if you think about it this way, is every single one of those, there are situations, problems, issues, challenges, opportunities. And so how do you then manage your thoughts? Because things happen in every one of those areas that could trigger you to get depressed, for example, get angry, feel guilty, feel, happy or sad, and so forth. So how do you then be able to control how you show up in all those areas and still be you and still feel good and stay happy and be able to be the best you?
I see that. Oh, I appreciate that description,
Is that
Michelle. Because
making
yeah,
sense?
yeah, because there's this topic that we talk about sometimes in our work called executive function, right? And the CEO is actually the manager of all the executive functions of a corporation, right? Which you could consider a human being to definitely be a corporation, right? An incorporation of billions of or millions of cells at least, and definitely hundreds of different functions working, and the mind is dozens, right, of functions that we can actually point out and call out as separate things going on at the same time. So yeah,
Yeah,
totally. The
yeah. And
CEO of
then
all
the
of the
other part
executive
that people
functions.
leave out though with Sparkle is your body, your actual physical body, and being CEO of it and your health.
Yeah.
So that's a key differentiator of the way I look at things, is that we all, I believe, and I know, have a healer within. And we have given away our ability to heal ourselves because we were told we couldn't heal ourselves. But what if we could? And what if we learned how to take control of this thing we call our brain, our mind, and then be CEO of our body as well, and execute a command that allows our body to do what it has to do to keep ourselves healthy.
Right. And I would just like to highlight quickly that my work focuses on essentially putting a green button in your hand, right? Speaking of commands, right? And essentially it's the command to be calm, right? So that and a lot of folks have trouble pushing that button, or they've lost sight of it. We all were born with it, but a lot of us have lost sight of where that button is. And when you're complete with my process, you can push that button and create calm, right?
Oh,
Create an
that
instant
sounds
sense of calm,
wonderful.
instant sense of calmness, which doesn't sound like much unless you're having trouble getting there.
Yeah, because
If,
if you're in a depressed state, there's something that triggered you enough times so that you went down this downward spiral so much that you can't find your way back up yourself. Because from what I know, it's this, that depression, when you have it, you're not thinking right, and you can't necessarily very well actually help yourself to get back up when you're in this thing, because it's where the will, if we talk about the free will and will to heal, the will to do things, the will to move yourself and get things done. And when you're in a depressed state, that will is no longer, it's almost gone, right? If not gone, because it's this feeling of powerlessness, hopelessness, and not the inability to move yourself because you just feel so way down. There's no motivation to do anything. Just stay in bed, right? So
and
the
it's
positive,
almost like the will is sort of misoriented, is the
yeah,
way I see it. It's oriented toward creating more
you're right.
of
So how
that
do you get that
hopelessness,
positivity
powerlessness.
back?
Right. So it's like holding yourself down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, it's this thing that I think if we can first get people to, from this episode, take a look within, around, in and about yourself and see, do any of those symptoms or signs, do they apply to people I care about? I just had a friend who her nephew committed suicide just this past weekend. I don't know any details, but the thing is, everybody's in shock. And is it because they were living somewhere else, or was it because we ourselves didn't understand what depression looked like? So what I hope to do with this episode is to bring the awareness of people who are watching the episode to understand what, because depression looks like, because I myself, I didn't understand a lot of this, what I'm sharing with you tonight. Because, you know, I understood some of it, but not the whole spectrum of all those symptoms. And if we go back over them, what were they? DK, do you remember? So there's feeling empty or feeling
And
sad, right? That's
it's loss,
sadness.
loss of interest in things or tasks or opportunities or experiences that previously we really enjoyed.
Yeah, or is that
It's
loss,
a
that
huge
could be
thing.
that loss of self-respect or something, somebody put you down enough that you
Yeah,
feel like you're worthless, right? It's that over under eating. Sometimes it's just with, you just have no appetite because you don't feel like, you know, you're really not moving, and so you have no appetite. Or it could be where they say you overeat just because it's something to do and you can't help, you end up like eating mindlessly. You just keep on doing this, and it's just, you're not even registering whether it's feeling full or not. You're just eating. It's just this motion, right? It's just going without mindless, a mindless kind of state where it's just doing something. There's a feeling just very, very tired and fatigued. You know, soothing yourself, having the insomnia, or being just sleeping and then waking up. You could sleep the whole weekend and still feel like you have no energy, but you've been sleeping. And that's a big sign in itself, I think.
definitely,
Right?
definitely.
Waking up just not rested at all, just like drained.
Along with this kind of general feeling of hopelessness
Yeah.
and a general feeling of almost carrying a heavy weight.
Or even irritability too, right? Just little things that just trigger them, and you don't know why you didn't do anything, just, and then all of a sudden they're screaming or, you know, quarreling or cussing, you know, because
Yeah,
it's
really.
that frustration, and it's pent up, and it just releases as a explosion.
I noticed that a friend or two that have gone through a time of depression will over time they'll start to notice that they're bursting out, that they're getting triggered a lot faster with smaller things that normally wouldn't bother them,
Hmm.
and that's a sign when you sort of notice that in yourself. I'm very sensitive now, and there's not, it doesn't appear to be a reason for it. But that can be an indicator to really kind of check yourself out and see where what your real internal state is.
Right, or withdrawal, a withdrawal, just not interested in talking, don't want to, you want to stay away or be locked
Mhm.
away in a room, or, and then the pains, that restlessness or agitated, the shaking of the leg, or different gestures that might indicate nervousness, perhaps,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
fidget.
One friend calls it stomach and knots.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah,
And then of course
so
the thought,
very high internal tension.
yeah, thoughts of suicide, of leaving, or, you know, I don't want to be here anymore. What's the purpose of living? And the worst part is they'll likely will not say it out loud.
Yeah, and that's where being a friend is so critical, right? Is being able, because our sense of where our friends are, a lot of it's nonverbal, right? It's
Yeah.
coming from nonverbal cues. It's coming from just kind of feeling that okay, something's not right,
Right.
and to have the courage to say something when that takes place.
Yeah, because I had a situation where it was just, it could be something that would seem normal under other situations, but it was where there was a purchase, and I said, why does that person need that? And the answer didn't make sense. And bottom line is they were wanting to use something to end their life. So when the things don't add up and you notice these funny things that are not funny things, but these other symptoms or indicators that something isn't right or abnormal, they're walking slower than normal, they're doing things slower, or, kind of carelessly or lackadaisically, or just not tuned in, or just taking too much time. Then when things start to add up, it's like you get one or two, and then you get three or four, and then the fifth one, then you want to be careful it doesn't lead to the final one, because that's catastrophic. So it's a big topic, and if you find it that this is going on, there may be a need to seek medical advice and therapy really fast. And it might not be something that is voluntary, depending on how deep this is. It's one of the leading causes of suicides in the US and in Canada too, as well. But it gets murky because bipolar disorder and the other anxiety disorder, personality disorder, those things also add into that aspect of the suicide. And again, it doesn't matter what it is. If it's a mental health issue, there are symptoms that are similar, but it's just a different concentration or of the symptom, right? A slight difference in how the positioning of their mental actions are.
And to me, that's the beauty, rather than getting too deeply into that's the beauty of both calmness and the sparkle, right? These processes don't really care, what is out of balance.
Right,
it is just that the opportunity is to restore a balance, to restore that sense of inner peace, to restore the proper functioning of the body and the mind, through the sparkle as well, right? And those are the opportunities that regardless of what we bring, that allow us to find our way back.
So what I want to say too is, if you're in a professional situation, especially if you're a guy, there's not many guys who do this. Give DK a call. DK's, you're an engineer, and you have the technical background. You also have the business management kind of entrepreneurial background as well, the marketing. So you understand the trials and tribulations. You also have kids, so you understand the fatherhood. We talk about mommyhood and working moms and the pressures of raising a kid. But hey, you have kids too. You have the pressures of providing for the family, and all this stuff with entrepreneurial adventures, and so you see it from the male viewpoint. So guys, if you have problems, go see DK. He'll be able to help you with this, because it's a nice thing to be calm, I tell you.
It's a gift that I certainly appreciate. I mean, really, the process that I offer is and was developed primarily for myself, right? To find that place, and what I find is that being in a place of calmness is actually a place where that personal power gets unlocked, right? So it's not just an avoidance situation; it is actually an empowerment situation. That from that place where we have that inner peace, that it unlocks all of the higher faculties of the mind, and we're just in a place where we can be so much more effective.
Yeah.
That I also appreciate, Michele, your sparkle, right? Which sort of strikes it from a completely different angle, right? And I call it energizing, right? But I'm sure that through the quantum, there's lots of ways to characterize it as to what the benefits are for simply being able to recharge and to restore functions that we've had from birth, but perhaps have either eroded away or lost sight of, and suddenly those capabilities are back and available to us.
Well, the thing I say about Sparkle, and we'll get into the Sparkle segment right now, actually, because we're kind of at the top of the hour. The thing with Sparkle is, the energy, there is a release of trauma, blocked energy. You know, if you talk about chakras, yes, it could be you have your chakras blocked, but it aligns everything, grounds you, centers you. It allows you to release things without actually having to relive it, because some people like to share what is on their mind. Other people would rather not speak again, or they really don't want to bring it up. That's fine too, because you've experienced Sparkle, DK, right? So
I
it
have.
goes in, and then things happen. Would you agree that don't trigger you anymore?
I would say that I felt a shift, and I was particularly able to release, some of the, some of the self criticism or self inflicted, if you will, traumas that I felt I was experiencing, before the sparkle, and also the kind of obsessive and the fixation on. I even brought a dental pain to one of the sessions, and found release from that, right? Which tells me that things in my body were also being adjusted, through the process. So it's quite a remarkable, what I would call like allowing, releasing, energizing process.
Right. So, well, yeah, it is really. And then there's a clarity that comes with it too, because
Yes.
that's one thing that I say as 95, a very high percentage of clients and people who've been sparkled, they will leave with a calmness too, but also a clarity in the mind, without, it's like la la land, it's where the thoughts that were kind of going going through your mind before, whether it's deadlines, worries, concerns, issues, they kind of just evaporate. So
Yeah, and I would position it this way, right, which speaks to both calmness and sparkle, is that what if what we call reality, which is like the conflict and fight of all those thoughts, is actually la la land, and the true potential is to find that place of calm clarity, where we're in control.
yeah, right. So what I'd like to do, would you like a sparkle?
I would absolutely.
Okay, so with this sparkle tonight, the sparkle segment, what I'm gonna intention out there is that, for depression, if there's anything that's causing anything to do with feeling depressed or hopeless, or you know deluge with whatever it is that's causing this feeling, that any of these feelings, that with the sparkle tonight, whoever is viewing it, or whoever is here on the call now, or whoever is viewing it in the future, the replay, that you will, once you tune in, you'll be able to release some of that, if not all, right? So we will head into the sparkle segment then. What do you say?
Sounds great. Thanks, Michelle.
You're welcome. So this is me, and I'm gonna just, we're gonna just get comfortable. If you can, take a few deep breaths, and just close your eyes and breathe deeply in. And as you do that, see this beautiful tube of shimmery gold silver light coming from the heavens to your crown chakra, and just feel that energy going right through your body, and allow that energy in as you breathe it in. Blessings, all the wisdom you need, healing you need, all the energy, nutrients, everything that you need, and breathe out everything that's not serving you. Any feelings of hopelessness, helplessness, any feelings of guilt, of pain, suffering, any feelings of unhappiness, sadness, any feelings of not being enough, just allow those, anything that's not serving you, to leave through the window, through the doors, through the cord at the bottom of your feet, to go to your very own special crystal where it gets cleansed and grounded with Mother Earth healing energy, healing wisdom. Just allow that energy, once it's cleansed and purified and imbued with all this beautiful Mother Earth grounding energy, to come back up and join this circuit of cosmic energy already going through your body to all the nooks and crannies, wherever it needs to go, to bring light and sparkle and healing energy all through and through you, to your mind, to all the brain cells, the nerve cells, the blood cells, to everything, everywhere in your body, so that it feels great, it feels beautiful, feels light, it feels just tingly and fresh and refreshed. Just allow yourself to breathe in all the goodness, all the blessings, all the healing from the heavens, and just allow this energy to circulate. Breathe out everything that doesn't serve you, everything and anything. Just allow it to go through the window, through the door, down through the bottom of your feet to the cord that leads to your very own special crystal that heals the energy, brings it Mother Earth grounding energy, wisdom, healing. Just allow that energy come back up, purified and cleansed, re-energized with Mother Earth, grounding energy. Just feel that energy moving all around you, and allow it to go through you, and allow energy in to revitalize and re-energize your whole being, your will to bring it back to life, focused, knowing what it is you want and hope and dream for. Bring the hope and the dreams and the goals back into play. Bring all that love of life and vitality back into your whole being. Breathe in the energy of love and laughter and life and living and family and friendships. Bring in all the joys of all the things you used to love to do and still love to do. Bring in the vitality and the interest and the laughter and just the wanting to just do everything and adventure and have fun doing what it is life is all about, living, connecting to those you love and support you, and reach out and know that you have love around you. You have love within you. You have love about you, and that you are love and you are beautiful inside and out. And just allow whatever isn't serving you to leave through the window, through the doors, through the cord at the bottom of your feet to your very own special crystal. Just feel that energy. Feel that energy. Allow it in. Breathe in all the goodness, all the blessings, all the love of life, the love of living, the love of creating, of innovating, the love of being resilient and flexible, the love of moving and grooving, the love of just going after whatever it is you want with the passion of a child, the child you used to be long ago, the child that has hopes and dreams and no fear, with a love of learning, a love of living, a love of exploring, a love of adventuring, a love of just doing things for the love of doing things. Just allow that energy in. Feel the love. Open up your heart to love yourself, your body, your whole being, to love your life, your family, your loved ones, yourself most importantly, to forgive yourself, to forgive others, but most importantly, to forgive yourself and not forget. Just remember the lessons and allow yourself to give thanks for being you and for living and learning and carrying on one step forward at a time, loving and learning and living your life to its fullest. And just send love out to all the people you love from your heart. Feel the love expand. See that beautiful light just moving out from you. Silvery gold, sparkly, fresh and light and tingly and full of energy and vitality. And feel that love filling your heart and soul and sending it out to all those you love with love, with life and laughter. And just feel it. So happy. Sparkling light. Mischievous maybe, and happy. With a twinkle in your eye and a hop to your skip as you remember the happy times and see future happy times. And feel the love in your heart just filling your whole being with excitement and love for living and exploring, learning, and opening up to feeling again and being all that you need and want to be. Just release everything that doesn't serve you through the window, through the door, through the cord at the bottom of your feet. And whenever you're ready, you can wiggle your toes, your fingers, and whenever you feel like it, just you can gently open your eyes and come back to now. So how are you all doing now?
Feeling good.
Feeling good?
Feeling good.
Now, what are you noticing?
I am noticing it's a subtle shift for me, but I'm noticing a nice internal feeling of light, joyous, conscious connection.
Wonderful. Thanks for sharing. I'm just wondering, we didn't do that, but does anybody in the audience have any questions for us? You can put it in the chat or come off mute. I know most of you are off camera, so that's fine. You can just speak if you have questions for us, or yes, no, maybe so.
And Michelle, if they have questions afterward, where would they position those?
Oh, that's a good question.
We could position an email address. For me, it would be simply relaxmedk.
And then, of course, for myself, you can send it to info@mentormem.com if you wish. It was really good to have you on the show, DK. Thanks so much for coming on and sharing your experiences. I know that's not easy to. Again, I hope that our viewers have got some value. It helps one person, it's good. If it helps more, the better.
Much the better. Thanks for the opportunity, Michelle. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, and if anybody gets results from this Sparkle session, it'll be really nice for you to share it as well. The replay has energy. The intention of this Sparkle was to help you if you were borderline or if you were any part depressed. And I think, DK, if you've been on other Sparkle segments with me, right? You've had Sparkle and you notice that what I led you through was different.
Yes.
From
Definitely.
other ones I've done before. Yes?
Yeah.
True?
Each one is unique. Yes.
So anyway, thank you so much. We're 10 minutes after. But I think this is a worthwhile topic. So thank you so much for joining us tonight. And if you'd like to come on, just as you said, send me a video of yourself and your topic. DK, thanks again. Join us first Wednesday of the month. There is a different link though, so I'll be posting that in Facebook. Take care. We'll talk to you later, and bye for now.